I have been posting less on Instagram than I have in years, possibly ever. I am also sending fewer emails to my list than maybe ever as well. And I'm actually booking more projects than I have in a long time. And I'm not saying this to say give up on social media or anything. We know the cost of everything has gone up, so people are spending differently. We know marketing has changed a lot. We know there's a trust recession. And so it makes sense that our marketing strategy changes as well. So if you are still following outdated email marketing or social media marketing advice and not changing that strategy, and you're wondering why you're not booking any clients or projects, keep listening because I'm going to explain what is going on and what should be happening. Welcome to From Content to Clients. I'm your host, Sydney O'Brien, and this show is for busy service-based business owners who do not have time to keep throwing content at the wall and hoping it leads somewhere for their business. Here, we talk about smarter content making, stronger messaging, and how to create content that actually helps your business get clients, especially if you are working in small chunks of time. Welcome back to From Content to Clients. Okay, I want to preface this whole episode with something. This is not me deciding to be contrarian about posting frequency, all right? This is just what I'm seeing and experiencing and hearing from clients. Everyone is saying the same version of the same thing. I'm posting, I'm consistent, I'm doing the things, but it's not turning into clients. And that sucks, right? Like you spend so much time on marketing on various aspects, blogging, podcasting, social media, newsletters, all the online things takes so much time and effort and planning. And for it not to lead anywhere is really, really shitty. All right. And there is a way to fix it. And thankfully, it does not involve more content. Here are my actual numbers from the last 30 days. Okay. I shared 5 posts on Instagram. I sent 3 emails to my list and I published 2 podcast episodes. That is it. That was the entirety of my content output. I post maybe once or twice a week right now. And I'm emailing every week or 2, maybe twice a week if I'm participating in a bundle or something. But it has been minimal content output for me lately. But now let's talk about input. What I got out of that was 4 strategy calls I booked in just the 1 month. So that was really cool. And then one of those calls has already turned into an ongoing done for you content project. So very nice for me. And I had actually set a 4-person limit on the strategy calls because summer, kids are home, I don't have a ton of time and all of that. So I was very happy to get all of those spots filled, especially with posting and emailing as little as I have been. And I think that's because of what I spent my time on instead of creating a bunch of content and writing a bunch of emails. And I'm going to show you exactly what that was. But first, I need you to understand why this works. Because if you skip the why, you'll copy the what, and then it won't work for you. So first, the platform, because I know that's where everyone's head goes, it's straight to blaming the algorithm and all these other things. And like, it has changed. I will not lie to you. It has changed a lot. It feels different. You're not imagining it. Okay, reach is lower, growth is slower, visibility is less. It's so much harder to get the same results that we could get like a year or 2 ago, much less like 4 or 5 years ago, right? So that advice that most of us learned when we started was, post every day. Reels are great for reach, consistency above all else. And that worked then, but not so much now. It's written for a platform environment that just does not exist anymore, okay? It doesn't. So we need to update our strategies and our tactics. More content, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on email, whether it's podcasting, does not automatically equate to more sales, okay? I'm sure you have heard me say this before if you are not new to my content. You have to have the underlying market research, messaging, positioning, all of these things have to be in place before you can think about how often you're posting, right? So we're absolutely not following that advice. And here's another thing. The platform is honestly the smaller change. The bigger one that's happening is the buyer, right? People are buying differently. I've read so many articles about this, like the Google Finance has some really interesting ones about buyer behavior changing. Forbes does as well. People are taking so much longer to buy. It's why we're not seeing funnels be as effective anymore. They're taking way longer. There's more lurking. More touch points are needed, more conversations are happening, and It makes a ton of sense because a lot of marketing is now super generic, like AI content or just hopping on trends. And it's not feeling like it's specifically for any specific audience, I guess I want to say, which is really what makes people buy, right? Knowing that like their super specific problems are going to be helped because of whatever that seller's unique selling perspective is. So skepticism is the default setting from buyers right now. And then again, that flood of AI content, the same 5 hooks and trends being used, it is a lot. It's a lot for people to sift through. It's a lot for people to try to connect with. But of course, because it's so generic, they're not connecting. And that is having a mega effect on how people buy. A lot of content strategies for Instagram specifically, not all online content, but social media content specifically, the strategies were only ever built to be seen. That's why we see like follow this trend, use this viral hook, but not necessarily to convert. And unfortunately, because Instagram has felt so off for a little bit now, most people are testing more things and new things, trying to see what will finally stick, which means more posts, more guessing, more hopping on trends to see, oh, maybe this is the one that'll like get me out of like the 200 views jail. Same thing with trying out new hooks and post prompts. They'll use AI hooks to help their content go viral. And I get the instinct because that's what we have been taught, right? Your results dip, so you need to increase the output to get more input. But every single one of those treats the symptoms, right? Low results. None of them touch the system, which is whether your content is actually turning into conversations and clients, because we know the buyer has changed. We know the way to get past that is to have conversations with them, to get past the generic marketing, to get past the AI slop, is to approach this with a human first approach. If your messaging is unclear, more posts isn't the answer. If you don't know who your audience is, more posts isn't the answer. If you're not sure how to build trust, more posts isn't the answer. We have to have these things and we have to have conversations with people. And I know I am very much an introvert and it's so hard, but it works. And it takes a lot less time than writing a whole bunch of emails and editing a whole bunch of reels. So give it a go. And when you're making these mistakes, you end up with a lot of resentment. You end up feeling super burnt out, and your audience can feel that obligation content, right? Like you're just here because you want the sale. It's not because you have like something you really feel like you need to share with people. And that is worse than not posting at all. And if you look at your whole content marketing strategy, like all different types, social media, email, long form, lots of people can't tell you which part is working and which part it. And when they change a bunch of tactics at once, it's hard to track. I'm going to tell you the one place this breakdown almost always happens because it's important to know. It's almost never at like getting views on Instagram. You don't have to get a ton of views to get sales. My last couple posts did not do well, and that's fine. My most engaged people still saw them and still bought things, which is the important part. Going viral is not the goal here. Where the breakdown happens is it's between content, trust, and action. Your content gets seen. Even if it's not by a lot of people, that's fine. If it gets seen, if you have people on your list, if you have people that follow you that are in your ideal audience, that are your ideal followers, and nothing is happening, that's a problem. And I see this in my own content as well, by the way. When I pulled up my analytics of my Instagram posts, my straight advice posts, like the helpful tips, here's how to do the thing type of posts, perform below my feed average. The posts that do well are the ones about values, about real life, about how I run my business, the more personal things. By quite a large percentage. The valuable content isn't the content moving people. It's the personal content. And even then, if we're looking at engagement, that's not the conversion we want. It's a part of the process, but it's not the end goal. Okay. So engagement is like applause on Instagram. That's cool. That's great. Conversion is someone taking a step towards you, toward working with you. So we're going to take a quick break for an ad from a really cool tool if you do need help with visibility. So stick with me. And then I'll tell you what your content's job actually is now that everything and everyone has changed. Does marketing your business on Instagram feel like you're just screaming into the void? You spend hours creating content, hoping it brings in new clients, and then it barely gets seen by your own followers, let alone new ones. It used to be that Instagram showed your post to about 10% of your audience right out of the gate. Now, in 2026, it's 3. And when you're running this thing solo, working in small windows of time, you can't waste them hopping on trends and hoping this is finally the one that'll get seen. You need something that you know is going to help you get in front of your dream clients. That's Backtalk.ai. While everyone else is still fighting for that 3% over on Instagram, Backtalk.ai is helping business owners show up in their dream client search results on ChatGPT, Gemini, and other AI tools. If you're ready to get your business in front of your ideal audience without having to edit more reels, you should check out Backtalk.ai. The link's in the show notes. So what did I actually do differently? I stopped creating content to be seen and started creating content to be answered. Okay, so talk to your audience in your content instead of talking at them. We're posting and emailing to foster connection and start conversations. We need to talk to people. We're not sharing these things to check a consistency box and say, yes, I did this. Something should probably happen from it and then move on with our days. It's not just to stay visible. We should be starting conversations. This is the thing we know will help move people forward when everyone is stressed and skeptical and not interested in buying. That is how I booked out all the strategy calls that I had open for the month. It wasn't from people commenting a keyword on a post. It was in email replies and in DMs. It was on discovery calls. You know, the post job is not to perform. The post's job should be to prompt that conversation. So a post that gets 200 likes and 0 replies is going to do less for you now than a post that got 12 likes and 2 DMs from the right people. Remember those numbers I shared at the beginning of the episode? In 1 month, I did 5 posts, 3 emails, 2 podcast episodes, and booked 4 strategy calls. That's like 1 call booked for roughly every 2.5 pieces of content, not every 50. It's 2.5. And of those 4 bookings, all of them came from DMs or email replies. My podcast has been the same story, by the way. You might have noticed a while back, I started posting every other week instead of every week, and my downloads went up over 120% over 90 days. Because the episodes I'm sharing now are built for connection. And that is why posting less has been working for me, right? Every post and every email now has one job. It's to open that door to a conversation, ask for a reply, start those conversations. You don't need more content. You don't need more email sends. You need clarity and you need relevance. And another reason this is really helpful is if nothing happens after someone sees your content, is that these conversations are also really great market research. Every reply tells you what's landing and gives you more information on what you should be sharing in your content next that will resonate with people. It does a lot better than guessing in the dark or throwing spaghetti at a wall. Okay, quick aside, because this is something I'm seeing a lot of. Can I just, pop this in AI and see what I should be posting? And look, AI is genuinely useful for some things, but it is not great at being human first, considering it's not human. Novel idea, I know. So if the strategy underneath is unclear, AI helps you produce unclear content. Templates and trends, same problem. It's someone else's strategy and they're trying to sell you a quick win with these. Can they work? Yes. Like I said, if you have the underlying strategy and you can adjust it to make it fit to yours, that's fine. But when we're in a time where everyone is so sick of feeds and email inboxes sounding the same with no real meaning behind it, and we have to focus on this human first marketing, more AI generated stuff is just not the answer. So if you're posting and you're emailing and things aren't working, you're asking for conversations and it's not happening. Well, if you're posting and you're emailing and you're not booking clients or projects, start sharing posts that open that door to have conversations. And if you're doing that and that's not working, the breakdown could be in a couple different places here. It could be in your messaging. It could be in your offer. It could be in your call to action, your positioning. There's a couple different things that can have, unfortunately, a not great effect on your sales. I actually booked a strategy call with someone last month who was starting a new account from scratch and wasn't sure how to get visible and grow followers so she could get on people's radar. And so the strategy call, we really focused on messaging and her ideal audience. And she grew her account to over 400 followers in a single month because we got so clear on her messaging and her audience and how those two things kind of came together in her content. Her engagement climbed, right along with it, real responses from the right people, so that she now has an audience that she can converse with and start selling to. She thought the problem was, not posting enough, not hopping on the trends. The actual problem was her messaging and her audience. Another client I was working with last month is a business coach with young kids at home over the summer. She's getting ready to launch a program in the fall, and her assumption was that she had to post an email all the time leading up to this new program so that people would be super aware and buy into it. But with little kids home over the summer, no childcare, that seems super unrealistic. So instead, we made a content plan that seeds the idea for her program and also builds trust and shows social proof and starts those conversations, because those conversations are going to do a lot more for her than editing a reel every day, right? And now she doesn't have to feel like she has to ignore her kids to get work done, because her content plan respects her time and her life. So two totally different situations. Both thought they needed more content. And in both cases, the real answer was less content, but with a clearer job, right? So if you're listening to this and wondering what your next step is, I want you to go look at your last couple of posts and last couple of emails. And for each one, I want you to ask yourself, what job does this post or email have? And what are people supposed to do after reading it or watching it? And does that align with your business right now? And then as you create your next piece of content, whether it be a post or an email, both preferably, share something that the only goal of it is to start a conversation. That's it. Make sure you're talking to your audience instead of at them. And if you're not sure where your specific gap is in your content marketing strategy, where it's not leading to sales, or you're not sure if your messaging is there, if you know your audience well enough, what to post to start the conversations, I'm going to share a link for that strategy call I was talking about down in the show notes. Again, I only am doing for a month of those, but it's very hard to give business or person specific advice on a podcast when a lot of the time the solution needs to be individualized. But we can look at your whole strategy across multiple platforms, wherever you're showing up, find any gaps and fix them. I can help you with a content plan, messaging, whatever you need. And then after the call, I put together a whole action plan for you, so you know exactly what next steps to take and what to focus on, so you're not wasting time on the wrong things. Again, I will put that in the show notes. And don't forget your to-do list. I'm sorry, yes, there's homework. Check your last couple posts, do a quick mini audit, and then create some content to start conversations. Oh, wait, one last thing. Come back in 2 weeks for the next episode of From Content to Clients. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for hanging out with me on From Content to Clients. If this episode helped you think differently about your content, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's next. And if you're ready for content that's more strategic and less throw it together and hope for the best, head to sydneyobrien.com to learn more about working with me.